I took one of the most sugar-packed recipes in barbecue and I made it sugar-free. Now you can enjoy smoked ribs guilt-free. And on this episode of Barbecue But Healthier, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I've been eating healthier lately, but giving up barbecue ribs, that's probably not gonna happen. I can count on one hand the number of experiences I've had where I've taken a bite of food and it's changed my thought process. Eating smoked ribs for the first time was one of those times. It had a really nice sugary glaze, this amazing texture on top. It was tacky, it was sugary, it was sweet. I mean, it was amazing, it changed everything. So I grew up in Kentucky and barbecue ribs here meant that they were taking country style ribs, which was Boston butt cut down into slices, and they would steam them in aluminum foil in the oven, and then after they became really tender, they'd throw barbecue sauce on them, throw some brown sugar maybe on top, put them in the oven, and let them caramelize. That's what barbecue ribs were in Kentucky when I was growing up. So that first bite of smoked rib changed everything for me, and it really set me on the path to learning how to smoke food. So since eating healthier, I've been worried that I wasn't gonna get to enjoy smoked ribs on a regular basis. So that's how I came up with this recipe. Most ribs are packed full of sugar. You're talking 25 to 30 grams of sugar per 2 to 3 bones. Now, tell me somebody who's sitting down and eating 2 or 3 bones. I'm not. So in order to cut down on the sugar, first place you want to start is the rub and then the barbecue sauce. Now I am saucing these ribs because I'm cutting so far back on the sugar in the rub. The barbecue sauce I created is sugar-free, but it still gives us some sweetness. I want to show you how to make the rub and the barbecue sauce now. To make this sugar-free rub, you want to start with a base of 4 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of ground mustard, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt or to taste. I went pretty light on the salt. 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, 1 to 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, depending on how spicy you like. Then 1 teaspoon of ground celery seed, and lastly, 1 tablespoon of Monk Fruit Sweetener. Just give it a good shake and it's that simple. The sauce is a great balance of heat, acidity, and a little sweetness. You'll start off with a really good sugar-free ketchup. Add 1 cup of that to the pan. Then add half a cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of W sauce, 1 tablespoon of that Grey Poupon Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, a half to 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of chipotle pepper, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 to 2 tablespoons of that monk fruit sweetener, and lastly, a half cup of water. Turn the heat on medium and simmer for a few minutes until everything's mixed together. At this point, you'll notice that the sauce is a little thin. If you like that, then stop here. If you want to thicken it up, we're going to have to make it slurry because reducing it down won't really thicken it much considering there's no sugar. Take 1 teaspoon of cornstarch and mix it with 1 teaspoon of cold water. Mix well and add it to the sauce. As you stir, you'll notice that it thickens. Pull it off the heat after it reaches the desired thickness. Then add it to a jar. Okay, so these ribs are what I like to call idiot proof. So we gotta prep these, but there's not a lot of prep. These are essentially spare ribs that have been cut down into St. Louis ribs. I found these really cheap. This one set of ribs here was $6. That's a deal here, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna use this mustard here. You know, come at me all you want, but I like to use the mustard. I don't always use mustard, but I happen to have it. I think it'll help kind of bind it a little bit. If you can buy ribs that are trimmed down, perfect. If not, trim them down yourself. But yeah, let's prep these. We're actually gonna leave the membrane on. I cooked these last week for my sister and brother-in-law. They didn't even know the membrane was on there, so. Okay, so we have our ribs prepped. What we're gonna do is get your smoker running to 275. I'm using the Weber Smoky Mountain. I have a video right here showing you how to use it. If you're using an offset, I also have a video on my channel showing you how to use that. If you're using a pellet grill, plug it in, turn it to 275. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw these on the smoker and we're gonna smoke them for 3 hours. And then I'll show you what we do after that. Okay, so the ribs have been on for 3 hours. We smoked them at 275. Now what you want to do is you want to take them off and we want to wrap them. But we're using butcher paper. Reason I prefer butcher paper over foil is because it's more porous, so it's going to allow you to keep your bark. It's going to allow you to get even more smoke flavor. I'm going to use butcher paper because I like it a little bit better. After 2 hours, unwrap the ribs. Brush some of the sauce on them. Smoke for another 30 minutes to 1 hour. When all is said and done, they should look a little like this. All right, these ribs look phenomenal. Just to recap, we smoked them 3 hours on the smoker, unwrapped. Then we wrapped for 2 hours in butcher paper, which is important because we don't want them completely falling off the bone. And then we put them back on the smoker with a little bit of this sauce for about 30 minutes to an hour. It's really up to you how tender you want them. But if you're a person that needs to probe everything, that's fine. These are probably 195 to 200. But let's give them a try. That is really good. So you can see that that bite comes out perfectly clean. Doesn't pull off all the meat. If I wanted to, you could pull this meat off of this bone. That's phenomenal. That barbecue sauce has just enough heat, little bit of sweet. The acidity helps take it over the top. Phenomenal. So there you have it, a super simple rib recipe that's sugar-free. It doesn't jack your insulin up, doesn't knock you out of ketosis, and you don't have to sacrifice a limb or a foot, hand, fingers, whatever, because it doesn't have any sugar in it. Sugar-free or not, these are some of the tastiest ribs that you're ever gonna eat. Just give them a try. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're enjoying the content from the Barbecue But Healthier series, go ahead, subscribe, like the video, and hit that notification bell because I've got a shit ton of recipes to hook you up with. Until next time, smoke on.